Hello and thank you for joining us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. Today on the program, Transmission Company of Nigeria achieves all-time transmission peak of 5,801.60 megawatts, planned 4,000 megawatt additional wheeling capacity to national grid. NSA rules out amnesty for bandits, hiring of mercenaries to keep Nigerians safe, as President Buhari restates order that anyone carrying AK-47 be shot. And later on the show, Senator Magnus Abe insists Rivers APC crisis not yet resolved despite Supreme Court judgment. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Emeka Madunagu. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us. Let's start the discussion today with how some Lagos Council chairmen are living up to the challenge of good governance. Today, we are paying tributes to the two local government chairmen who are improving infrastructure development in their council areas. First is the chairman of Ifelodu Local Council Development Area, Shaibu Fatai Ajidagba, who recently donated a sumptuously built hospital in the state government, that is in his area. Babajide, we hardly hear of local government chairman performing in Lagos State because overall, we tend to assess everything on the basis of, Lagos State government. The local government are like under the shadows. But some of these guys in LCDs and original local governments, they are actually making giant strides in their own areas.
Yes, and I think that is the mistake that the media makes. The media ought to zero in on leadership at the grassroots level. We should focus attention on what some of these leaders at the grassroots level are doing. When I saw the picture of the hospital that Shaibu donated to the state government, I couldn't believe it. I thought it was fiction. I couldn't believe it. Because if a local government chairman can do that, then...
Wow. Yes, I've seen something like this.
You can then tell yourself that the sky is the limit. You know, local government...
At local government level.
At local government level, somebody did this. So you can see that the sky is the limit. If they are encouraged and...
like a general hospital?
Yes. Yes, this is as good as anything you find anywhere in our country. And to say that this is not even a state government project. You know, the hospital was set ablaze during the NSA
project.
He then decided to rebuild the hospital and donate. He rebuilt it and donated it to the state government. This sort of person deserves all the honor that you can give a decent and responsible public officer. He has really lived up to the confidence of the people. And I hope that other council chairmen will borrow a leaf from...
There's no how you can see this and you say this kind of hospital was constructed by a local government.
And within a short time.
Oh no.
And within a short time, I delivered it.
The protest was October.
Yes, within a short time, and he delivered it with all the facilities in place. This is not fiction. This is happening in Lagos.
At Ajeromi Ifelodu local government. This is quite noble.
So it's impressive.
Yeah. We ought to go to Shomolu. Now, the other chairman is Shomolu Local Government Area Chairman. That's Abdullahi Salahu, popularly known as Dula, who constructed an unbelievable 31 roads in the council area. He also set up and equipped a firefighting unit in his council. Okay.
This is local government.
This local government. This thing is very expensive.
This is expensive and this is significant because many times, because of the centralized nature of firefighting in our country and in our respective states,
yes,
it's usually difficult for for fire service, the central fire service, in the state, to attend to all the needs, all.
This could be quite expensive too.
Yes.
Interlocking.
The point I'm making is usually difficult for them to respond promptly
to
all emergencies because it's centralized, in the state. We have federal fire service and state. Now, Lagos, as a constantly expanding metropolis, needs much more than one central firefighting unit. And what Dula has done is to ensure that in his area, if there is a fire incident,
they don't need to call Alausa.
Yes, if there is a fire incident,
you can take care of it within
from the firefighting unit that he has set up, they will be able to respond to that emergency and deal appropriately with it. It is quick thinking, forward thinking. It is inventiveness for a council chairman to think that, look, this is what I have to do. Let me think out of the box. Let me not simply do what others are doing. And to construct more than 31 roads. You can see the quality of the roads that Abdul Salam has delivered. It makes me proud as a person. It makes me really proud because we want governance to percolate down to the local government level. Yes, that's to the grassroots level. And we are seeing these people. We are seeing Dula. Look at this. Look at how sumptuously delivered this one is. Not just that, okay, they chose to do paving stones, put paving stones there, but the quality of the work, speaks volume. What I know, yes, this one is not true with this yet, but what I know is that this council chairmen, they are preparing themselves for bigger responsibilities because if you can do this at your own level, then people are watching. People are watching. The leaders of the party are watching. Other people are watching. They will be telling themselves that, look, if we give greater responsibility to these individuals, then they are going to do even much better than they have done at their local level. Because at that local level, you are limited to an extent in terms of even the funds at your disposal. But if within the funds that you are provided, you are able to do this, then of course, you are advertising yourself inadvertently for greater responsibility, and the leaders of the party in Lagos State are watching.
That's the chairman of the fellow local governments, that's Shoaibu Fatai Ajidagba, and Fatai
Abdul Salam, Dula.
Shomolu, making giant strides.
That's Dula there.
Yes.
Everyone can see clearly what these fellows have done. It's not when you work for the people, you live on in their hearts. There is no way that Dula will not live on in the hearts of the Shomolu people. There is no way that Saliu will not live on in the hearts of the fellow people, because they will remember that it was during their time that those tremendous projects were delivered. And this is the point that we are making. That, look, all those council chairmen who simply collect allocation and do not do anything, we are using these guys as examples to them that, look, within the ambit of the powers and the resources at your disposal, you can make a difference. You can do great things.
You write your name in gold. It's true.
And when you write your name in gold, of course, you will never be forgotten. And we as journalists have an obligation to let the world know that there are people who are doing well without any noise. There are many people who had never heard about Dula before, until today. But look at this beautiful road. Look at it.
It's very expensive if you saw for Tronxy Road.
Yes, if you saw the road before it was reconstructed, you see the extent of the work that Dula has done. And I'm sure the leadership of the APC in Lagos State must be really proud of these two gentlemen.
All right, moving on now. Recently, The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, achieved an all-time transmission peak of 5,801.60 megawatts. The company is also planning 4,000 megawatt additional wheeling capacity to the national grid. BKO had an exclusive interview with the Minister of Power, Salah Maman, on the peak and generation and wheeling capacity. Let's share this with you.
Through my phone, through physically with the MD, and our people are up and doing, and the result is you can see before you, and you are now announcing the highest peak ever received in this country.
Yeah,
It's a great achievement.
okay. At the point when you took over, the highest that we had received was around 5,373 or so.
Ever.
Yes, the highest. And then we also are having all kinds of problems, including gas constraints. How were you able to address the problem of gas constraints and keep us on the path of progress?
So, as you all know, I think I told you there was a time I keep talking to press about my 5 cardinal objectives in the power sectors. There are some things that I feel it is important when we work together, particularly coordination. Most time what is disturbing or what is the major problem of this sector is there is not that clear work or coordination between the parastatists, like issue of gas, and is to do with NLPC.
Yes.
And we have sat together many times to agree on how to supply this gas constantly, and we have reached an agreement, and since then I don't think there is much problem, so to say. Things keep going the way it should go.
Now, if we can achieve 5,801 megawatts at this time of the dry season, where do you expect us to be when we begin to get consistent rain, when the hydro plants are able to contribute substantially to generation?
So again, that is going to be also an increase, but the major problem is this. It's not that we don't have that power still more stranded. We still have them, or we still have it. Our major issue here is between the transmission and the distribution. Even if we increased, we may have little problem with the distribution companies for not receiving all we send to them. We are working on it, and very soon so this issue is going to be over. So you can see it's not the issue of increase in generation. Sure, we have, like, even up to now we have stranded capacity that the discos cannot even pick. So if they can take it at once, and I don't think there's going to be much problem.
Why are they unable to pick or refusing to pick what's generated? What is the problem? What are they telling you?
They have their problem of misalignment also, and also they have mostly have their equipments that are obsolete. Most transformers are overloaded. Some cannot take almost all that is given. Some wiring reticulation has to be changed. Some are over 40 years, that they need to be replaced, but they couldn't do it. So this is also some of the factors that are contributing to lack of taking the whole thing that has been transmitted.
Yes, Jide, what's the implication of this 5,000 megawatt we keep bandying around with additional plan of 4,000 megawatt? I've been hearing that in the last 10 years, but how does this translate to regular power supply?
Yes, ultimately, the more we increase capacity, the more we achieve availability, the more we achieve reliability in terms of power supply. The truth is, we have moved from 5,313 megawatts willing capacity last year to 5,801 in the first week of March. That's significant. And the interesting thing was that the TCN set a record 3 times on the bounce. You achieve record willing capacity today. Some days after, you surpass that, and then again you surpass that. So it shows that something is being done, and something is being done rightly, and it's being done without any noise. It shows that progress is being made, although the average Nigerian may not actually see, may not actually know that progress is being made, but the willing capacity represents progress, because what is willed to you is willed to the people is what determines the level of availability of electricity. You can actually generate 1 million megawatts, but
the ability
to will it is what matters the most.
That is when you can get to.
For example, we can generate up to 12,000 megawatts. That is there. That capacity is there within our thermal stations, within our hydro plants. But the bigger issue is wheeling it
out. Yes.
When you wheel it out through the transmission lines and the rest of them, then the people, the discourse can now distribute. What the minister is saying is that even now, we still have issues of stranded power.
Okay, those equipment used to wheel it out, some of them are obsolete.
Some of them are old, but we are seeing consistent investment in transmission. And the more we invest in transmission lines, substations, and the rest of them, the greater our capacity to wheel what is generated. So this is, in layman's language, what we are talking about. So we want to see consistent progress, especially in the area of transmission. You know, I've always said that for me, that is where we have the biggest problem. But we are seeing progress now, and they too are working hard to even add to what they have currently by moving us gradually towards additional 4,000 megawatts.
That's in addition to this 5,000?
Yes. Now, they are trying to, with new projects, there are some new projects, new transmission lines that they are building, new substations that they are building, even in Lagos and Ogun area, that will ensure that we are able to achieve that 4,000 additional megawatts of electricity from the transmission end. You understand? The GENCOs, yes, they can do 12,000 megawatts. They have the capacity, installed capacity to do 10,000 megawatts. But transmission must be able to take all that is generated. Now, they are saying that they are working hard and they have projects that the World Bank, the Japanese International Cooperation Agency, the African Development Bank are helping them to set up in Nigeria that will ensure that we have additional wheeling capacity of 4,000 megawatts. Once we are able to do that, the impact will be really tremendous. It will still not be where we ought to be, but at least the difference will be quite clear.
The minister also spoke on where he intends to take the power sector. Let's hear him.
The improvement, I just want to be remembered at the end of the day that when I leave this place, before I even leave, power is constant, sustainable, and 247 a day. That's where I'm moving to. Yes, they said I cannot, it's an issue of that capacity, but I always ask, who has done before that? Or who do you think can do it? Who did before me? So at least I'm trying my best. You can see the results everywhere. There's light. You don't have light today. I think there's a problem in your area, but not to say people have not been supplied with electricity. Electricity is all over. First and foremost, we are trying to make this light constant. First and foremost, when we make it constant, then we increase the capacity bit by bit, and that is what is happening right now. You can bear me a witness.
Okay. I want you to talk about the issue of meters. It's a big issue for our people because they do not like estimated billing. What is being done to ensure that as many homes as possible are supplied with meters so that people can be billed appropriately instead of estimated billing that the discos continue to give our people?
So I want to tell you, in this case, the government has now intervened. To be precise, Central Bank has now come in. They have given us some money that we have to buy that can fill in the gap. We have started with 1 million meters. We are already, the suppliers has already given up to half a million. Any time from now, we're going to complete that 1 million, and we're expected to complete the remaining 4-point-something million gap that we have to complete. So we're on it.
Minister of State for Power, that's Salem. Minister of Power, sorry, that's Salem Maman, and granting an exclusive interview to Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Emeka Madunagu, when are we going to solve this perennial power problem?
But there are a lot of problems in the sector. You can imagine, with all the good news coming out about generation, about transmission, do I tell you that there are communities that have written discourse to say they should be disconnected? Do I tell you? Some communities in Lagos State, they wrote them, come and disconnect us from the grid. Some communities in Ogun State this week are going to write Ibadan Disco. Disconnect us around the Bafo area. They're going to write them because you hear a lot of these things.
Estimated billing.
It's not just estimated billing. They restore power now. Within 10 minutes is off. 20 minutes. So if you say, okay, you have daytime transmission, you have daytime supply, it may not be more than 2 hours. Out of something that should be about 6 to 8 hours, the night is 0. So you
at the end of the day, they'll still bring billing.
they keep crazy bills. Now, NEC, the Electricity Regulatory Commission, has given a capping that, okay, communities that you cannot give supply beyond a certain number of hours every day, they should be on band E. But do you know what? These discos cleverly moved such customers to band D and now increased their billing while still maintaining those unstable supply. So people are frustrated because people are saying, wait a minute, they supply themselves power with their generators. So is it not better if they cut off from these discos and they power their own? They'll save more money, because how can you be paying for light that you are not supplied? That is the problem. When it comes to even meter, you heard the minister saying they are trying to bridge the gap. But let me tell you something. The discos are not interested. Copy on this. Go and investigate it. They are not interested in accelerating the prepaid meter program of the federal government, the NMMPP or something, NMP. They are not interested in accelerating it. What they are just interested in is making money. You know, some of their marketers are not salaried. They don't earn salaries. So they are sort of freelance. They are freelance workers. So it's when you're able to get some of this. You have loss of revenue. Have you heard of that before? Loss of revenue, whereby you just connect a customer, you just connect a house, and then you tell them, okay, just be paying. And according to NEC, you're not supposed to put any customer on loss of revenue beyond 2 months, 2-3 months. But you know what? There are customers who have been on LOR, loss of revenue, for more than 2 years. Then they'll just look at the house and just generate a bill for the house. Even houses that are not connected to the grid. Is that not ridiculous? I know of a mosque that was connected, that they are not on the grid. They run the place on generator. But you know what? They generated a bill for them and gave them 42,000. A mosque in Ibafu generated 40. I gave them a bill of 42,000. How do you now reconcile this? People read in the media. They read in the papers. You know, they see all the laudable efforts of government. They hear about this and that. The minister has spoken now. You know, but they wonder: is this minister in Nigeria, or he's speaking from outside the country? That the results are not trickling down. So it's not that the government is not making effort. Government is making effort, commendably. You have all that, like Jide talked about. You know, the Japanese International Cooperation Agency and the rest of them. They are doing so much. But I'll tell you what, the discourse are not actually willing the power. They are not taking it from. They are not taking it from the stations, from the power stations that are supplying them. So it's a major problem. And you see, population is growing. Population is growing. Was it not some months ago that said Nigeria's population had increased to 206 million? Population is growing. More and more people are building houses. Government is investing in housing. You saw what Vice President Oshimajo talked about now. Sometime late last year, rolling out a federal government scheme, for a building of estates. Now that is going to add to the number of customers you have on the grid. Those who are existing are not even being properly served. Then you're not adding more. I want to tell you, government needs to look at the role of discourse. Discourse at the sub point is a big problem. It's a big problem. Generation, transmission, yes, improvements, but in distribution, it is near zero.
Jide, what Emeka has just said now reminds me of a lady that complained to me. She rented an apartment and she entered the apartment and the outstanding on her bill was 650,000 naira. As in the previous occupant of that house. So they gave her a prepaid meter and she was paying like 20,000 every month. Well, out of that 20,000, they will remove 8,000 naira from the previous bill. She's expected to exhaust the money she has not used. A lot of anomaly in this sector, and I don't know how we can solve the problem.
But we are part of the problem. The problem is that we Nigerians are reluctant to admit it, even when we are at fault. I know a very big man that for 7 years, his meter was not read. He had hefty hefty dogs, guarding his house. So no NEPA man had the guts to go and read his meter. So he was using electricity for free. Even under the current dispensation, when we have the discos and the rest of them,
people still bypass
energy theft. Energy theft is still rampant.
Yes.
Energy theft is rampant.
Some people will prepare cards, they won't put their AC.
That is why people are saying that. That's why people are saying that, look, even the kind of meter that we use now is not the sort of meter that we should use. We should embrace the right technology. The kind of meter that even while you are in the office, you can switch off your electricity supply through that meter. And it's so small, because I saw it in Abuja. From your office, you can switch off the electricity supply
Regulate consumption.
So if you don't want to consume it because you are not at home, your children are not at home, you can easily do it from there.
Switch everything off.
So your fate is firmly in your hands and not in the hands of the disco. We have issues with discos, but we already signed a deal that getting out of that deal is as problematic as getting a camel through the eye of the needle. Anyone who is knowledgeable in the power sector will tell you that as much as Nigerians will want us to brush aside the transaction that happened during the Jonathan regime, it's not as easy as it seems.
Yes.
Because we had a history of people not respecting agreements in our country.
Yes. So that contract.
Remember Mavis in the airline sector? We had that history.
Notorious
of
history.
people not respecting agreement, of government not respecting agreement. And these guys put some
very terrible
safety measures in place to ensure that you cannot simply get out of this agreement. So what we can continue to do is see how we can fine-tune, sit with them, see how we can continue to improve things. And that is what the minister was telling me, that even the CBN, they got the CBN involved, because the issue of meters, we gave people the opportunity to invest in that sector without making it mandatory for them to provide meters to every electricity consumer, because you've got to provide meters for people. Let people see that they are built based on what they use. A situation in which you simply will send estimated billing to people, including access charge and the rest of them.
Fraudulent.
I mean, it's cheating people. It amounts to cheating people, you know? And they also need to invest. The Gencos have done well. They've invested tremendously in that sector. They too, the discos, have to invest sufficiently in their own subsector so that those their equipment that are obsolete, that ensure that they are unable to pick all that is willed to them, at least you bring such equipment to a high level. Because one disco official told me that, look, if we try to take everything that's generated, it is not even practicable, that the system will shut down, that they were not going to take that kind of risk, you know. So let there be improvement in capacity of the discos. As we are seeing improvement in the wheeling capacity now, let there be improvement in the capacity of the discos as well, so that they can take whatever is whatever the Gencos and the transmission companies
and distribute effectively,
give to them, so that they can then distribute. For now, their capacity to distribute is not more than 6,500 megawatts. Meanwhile, we have Gencos who have the capacity to generate more than 12,000 megawatts. So we still have, this is a relay. As I've said before, everyone, there must be some form of equilibrium across the board. Everyone, if Gencos have the capacity to generate 12,000 megawatts, and they now generated 8,000, the transmission company should be able to wheel 8,000 as well. And the disco should be able to take 8,000 megawatts that is sent to them. If we have that, then we are getting nearer to the promised land. For now, there's a lot of work
to be done.
That needs to be done. Improvement in generating capacity. I'm happy, for one thing, that we can set that record in the dry season. Because when the hydro plants begin to contribute significantly, at the peak of the rainy season.
Yeah.
The Shiroro, the Kanji, the Jeba, and all of them. By the time they continue to, at their peak and generation, that means we will go higher than 5,801 megawatts wheeling capacity that we have now. So it's a good thing, and we hope that the progress will continue.
Now, the kind of problem we have is like a fundamental one that from the beginning, we didn't get it right.
Yes.
We can refer to, we are supplying gas to countries like Ghana, Republic of Benin, and they can afford 24 hours light. Yet, we can't afford 24 hours light. Is it our population or investment into that sector or rot over the time?
Poor investment in the sector, rot over the time, corruption. Do you know a lot of communities bought transformers?
Yeah, now,
But
these days, CDAs, they don't buy.
But it is wrong, it's against the
And
law.
yes,
The law says
this buy transformer in Alaba.
NEC is a major problem. The leadership of NEC must sit up. The National Electricity Regulatory Commission must sit up. It must not allow these discos to be getting away with what they are doing to customers. You say communities should not buy transformers. You say, okay, where a community has provided a transformer, you should give them power commensurate to the cost of those things they provided. But you are not doing that. The discos are not doing that, and you are not monitoring it. What kind of investment have they put in? Do you realize that many discos have not even bought a single pole, not even a single cable, not talk of transformers. Now, these things get spoiled. Whenever these things get spoiled, it is the same customers that pay for repair.
I have a feeling that some of these people, they are overwhelmed. As in, a distribution company will be handling like 3-4 states.
Now, you see, Jide has talked about it. The kind of agreement.
In Lagos now, we have Ikeja and Eco distribution. But if you want to talk about Ibadan, handles
Ibadan, Ogun, yes, Oyo, some parts of Kwara and all of that. Benin Disco goes as far as Bayelsa, goes as far as Ondo, Edo, Delta. So it's so big. I think some time back, the Buhari administration was talking about, doing something about the licenses, maybe expanding the licenses. But I don't know what happened. Yes, it needs to do that because, you see, you cannot continue to be giving, you cannot continue giving your marketers targets, heavy targets. Now, these marketers know that for those of them that are not on regular salary, they know that whatever they will be paid will be dependent on how much they can squeeze out of the customers. So, what do you expect them to do? Then you now put a lot of pressure on your managers that they must deliver this, they must deliver that. But you are not making commensurate investment in what, in the things you're using to distribute power. And then again, you are not even taking the commensurate quantity of power that is expected to be evacuated from these power stations to your customers. So what do we have at the end of the day? The customers are suffering. The customers are getting huge bills. They are getting heavily billed. And then they are the ones actually bearing the burden. They are the ones. Okay, customers will buy transformers, customers will buy cables, buy everything. Then those things get spoiled. It's the customers that repair them. At the same time, customers are paying what you call crazy bills, estimated billing. Can you imagine even buildings that have not been connected an uncompleted building, for instance, was being given bills. I don't know whether they expected ghosts to be collecting the bills. They'll just go there, drop the bill for 8 months. How do you do something like this?
I don't even know how our people can cope with the current tariff regime, because it's extremely expensive. Electricity is extremely expensive in the country now, and a lot of people, if they have their way, they will simply disconnect from public electricity because it's so expensive. What the government felt that, well, the only way they can keep the sector going is to ensure appropriate pricing. But what we call appropriate pricing has become something extremely difficult for our people to afford. And our people continue to get cheated, despite the fact the regulator is supposed to stay in the middle and ensure that the service provider does not cheat the electricity consumer. But we are seeing consistently that NEC is unable to play that role effectively. So who does our people run to? Who will save our people?
To protect their interests.
Yes. When you can see clearly that people are being cheated by the by the service providers. The instructions that NEC hands down are never obeyed. I thought that even the NLC suggested that government should bring down the price of gas so that it will impact on the tariff itself, so that it can be more accessible to our people. But our government clearly does not want to do that. So, and the NSA has even stopped talking about the electricity tariff.
They have so many problems.
Yes, I have. Emeka is calling us from Apapa. Emmanuel calling us from Apapa. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Kaduna. All right, go ahead with your contribution, please.
Kaduna State. Yes, well, I'm just listening to your program, and I'm very interested about the issue of this light problem. In our place here, most times they bring accumulated so much money for the bill. Like, I was complaining to one of the staff that day. He said what they do is they will just calculate how much is the money everybody in the area need to pay. If they calculate the money, then they will just share, not even knowing how much light you use the light or not, you're at home or not, it's none of their business. Now is they will just share the money equally to everybody. If you pay 20,000, you pay. If you pay, they don't want to know how much light you accumulate. That's just their plan, and it's really affecting us here. I don't know. Until now, I think I'm paying more money for my light bill more than the money I'm paying for my rent. If I'm paying 20,000 for light bill every month, how much is my rent? So I think we need to do this. We need to take a look at all these things. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Julie, we also have this problem now.
Yeah.
Because the discos, they want to maximize profits.
No, the discos are the discos work for everybody. They are the ones who collect money for the gencos, for themselves. They work for everybody. So where they are, where the position that they found themselves, they are like the clearinghouse for the sector.
Money was complete. Yes,
and gencos too want to be paid because gas suppliers are holding them by the neck. You know, so the gencos too need money. So it's the discourse that everyone expects to to do their best of squeezing money out of Nigerians so that the business can be kept on. I think the government has been kind of blackmailed to believe that, look, if we do not come up with the current high tariff regime, there will be no investment in the sector. If we do not come up with this high tariff regime, government would then need to continue to subsidize electricity. Yes, and they are trying to get away from continuous subsidy in that sector. So they think that by allowing these guys to bill Nigerians the way they are billing us now, they will achieve profitability, and government will not need to continue to subsidize the sector, because government has been subsidizing that sector since that transaction happened. since these individuals bought the Gencos and
got bail out at the point in time.
they've been yes, they continue to, government has continued to subsidize that sector, and government doesn't want that to continue. They've set a timeline now that they will no longer be subsidizing that sector. But the only way to ensure that, okay, government does not subsidize and the sector is kept going is the extremely exploitative tariff regime that we now have. I can tell you not many Nigerians can afford this. It's terrible. Even some of my own friends who you expect that at least they should be able to afford it, they are complaining that it's too high.
People are complaining.
How can you
People are now paying like 100,000 naira, 60,000 naira, 80,000 naira for electricity bill in one apartment.
Even the rich are crying. People are trying, industries that should get regular power supply, they are not getting. So they are spending, as they are paying heavy bills on to the discos. They also have to buy diesel. They also have to spend a lot of money on diesel. They also have to do. It is just exploitative. I think government needs to sit down with these discos and look at this. Look at what they are doing again. Government cannot just give them an open check. Okay, that quarterly we'll review the tariff. The tariff regime in place, people can't afford it. Maybe in the next few months we are expecting another tariff. The discos are not respecting the bands. You said some band E should be frozen for those who are not getting up to 4 hours of power supply anytime there is supply. The discos are not respecting that. Instead, they migrated all customers from band E to band D and now increased it. They didn't cap anything. They didn't freeze anything.
And the long and short of it is that they are not even properly regulated.
They are not, and they are not
it's
even.
It's a problem in our country.
NEC, it's only even FCCPC, the Federal Consumer Protection Commission, that's even making some effort. But the thing is that if you look at even recently some communities in Ogun State, Nibafu, wrote FCCPC, and then about the way IBDC was performing. And then you need to see the response of IBDC just modeled things up and made the community leaders look like they were just, blowing fables out of the air. But go to the communities. I think NEC should actually go and meet the people. NEC should organize a meet the people tour, meet the customers tour, go around the nation, meet Nigerians, just sit in the air-conditioned offices across the nation. Go to the customers, whether it's in Ikoyi or it's in Victoria Island or it's in Metama in Abuja or wherever. Go to the customers, go and meet them.
The point that we are making is the National Electricity Regulatory Commission should do its job of regulating the players in the sector.
And FCCPC too.
They've got to do that. Whether they are Gencos or the discos, they've got to be regulated. Otherwise, people will continue to get the short end of the stick.
All right, moving on now. There is a sense of urgency in the war against insecurity in Nigeria, and those concerned are talking tough. The National Security Advisor, retired Major General Babagana Mungono, has ruled out amnesty for bandits because there is no basis for that, as well as hiring of mercenaries to help the country. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has restated his order that anyone carrying an AK-47 rifle should be shot. Let's hear from the president.
In the northwest, virtually the same people, the same culture, stealing each other's cattle or whatever, killing each other, burning their villages. At 4 hours meeting of the Security Council, that is Minister of Internal Affairs, Minister of Defense, Service Chiefs, Chief of Defense Staff, Inspector General of Police, and the rest of them. And nearly we gave them clear instructions. One thing that got to the press, which I read myself, was that anybody with AK-47 should be shot. Because AK-47 is supposed to be registered and is only given to security officials. We close the borders. you know for how many years. But the intelligence report I'm getting on a daily basis, those who are conducting the abduction, the killing and so on, still don't seem to be short of arms and ammunition. I see how they attacked police stations, killed the police, ransacked the armory and the magazine. Look at what happened during these answers. What happened to Lagos? I have to dispatch all the ministers. I say constitutionally is what the government is asked to do. There must be one person at least from each state to be in the executive council. I ask them to go back to see the governors, to see you, traditional institution, to see ordinary politicians, and then especially to see the youth and tell them that the federal government is saturated, the state government is saturated, the local government is saturated, and nobody will bring a kobo to invest in Nigeria if they keep on making Nigeria insecure. I said that message must be told to the youth. That was why when two governors of Ondo and Oyo State rushed me when there was this crisis in several of the forests, I said, go back. In each local government and in each locality, there is a security council. The traditional leader there, institution, whichever police officer at whichever level will be there. And then if there are herders or people from other areas which are non-indigenous, they are part of it. This committee was throughout Nigeria. And they used to report up to the state governor. And then the state governor, if there is something more serious, he brought it to the president. I say, go and resuscitate the security apparatus. The traditional rulers leaders cannot go away from wherever they are. So they are permanently in that committee. And then cattle rearers or business people or whatever, like what caused the problem in Southwest recently, they are representing those committees. And of course the Nigerian police will be there. So that security issues are tackled appropriately at every level. Now we have relaxed. Anything that happens, somebody will run to the presidency. We are going to be very hard on the criminals. The service chiefs have been changed. The ones that succeeded them have been in the system. They know what is wrong. They know the constituencies. They know the people. I said, confidence must be restored in governance within the next 6 weeks. Otherwise, we may be starved because people may not go back to their farms. They have been chased away from their farms. Their houses have been burnt. Their animals have been taken away from them, so they don't even mind dying. But what I said, we have to state confidence within the next 6 weeks in people so that people can go back to their land, produce what we eat. We have a problem, but I assure you we are doing our best. Our best hasn't proved to be good enough, but we are getting desperate. And we are given the orders to the military especially. In 6 weeks' time, I want to see a difference.
President Muhammadu Buhari there, and for sounding so decisive, a lot of people wanted the president to come out. Nigerians have been clamoring that they want this president to be quite categorical on what is happening in the north, some parts of the country, and that's President Muhammadu Buhari. Before we go to President Buhari, let's talk about the National Security Advisor. He seems to have found his voice back, and he's been talking tough, saying the federal government will not negotiate with bandits? Jide, let's take it up from here.
No, for me, I've not asked for the federal government to negotiate with bandits. I've always demanded that the armed forces should be empowered and equipped to deal a decisive blow on these people. We cannot negotiate with people who are behaving in the manner these guys are behaving. You give them amnesty, in no time, they are back to what they used to do. So the amnesty is a waste of time. The governor of Katsina State...
They don't have one voice.
The governor of Katsina State, we gave them amnesty 2 times. And on both occasions, there is a return to criminality, which will lead you to believe what Governor Rufai said, that for a man, because a lot of these guys used to be cattle rearers, a lot of them. In fact, in some of their confessions, they said they were cattle rearers, then they were victims of cattle rustling, and having become victims of cattle rustling, they too now decided to take to criminality because they were left with no cattle anymore and all that. So he's saying that, look, for someone who will go with his cattle from here, from the north to the south, and earn just about 200,000 on a cattle, on a cow, how do you expect him to give up a new piece of business where he gets paid in some cases up to 100 million for kidnapping an individual? You know, so he's saying that anyone who thinks that they will give it up is wasting his time, and that's what we are saying. They have embraced this as the new normal, and they are determined. They are determined, probably even more determined than our security forces, to continue to kidnap people. They've kidnapped students of the Forestry Mechanization Institute in Kaduna, and shortly after that, they went to the airport. Yesterday, they went to the airport trying to kidnap the deputy general manager. Went to the staff quarters trying to kidnap some staff of the farm. Soldiers had to come, evacuate those high-ranking staff from the place, had a shootout with these bandits before they left the scene. That means they are absolutely unconscionable. Okay. They have even they don't even have shame. That the issue, you came to the same area because that Afaka, that school, is located in the airport area. We are still looking for a way to get you to release the students that you have kidnapped, and you went back to the same location.
Staff quarters.
You know, about a week ago, they went there and kidnapped some staff of the aviation ministry. Now they've gone back there again. That's 3 attacks in just the space of about a week in the same location. So that should tell you how determined these guys are to continue this line of criminality. And we have to be decisive. We have to take all the steps that we need to take to exterminate them. I don't see these guys changing their ways. I don't see. In fact, they are getting worse.
These are Nigerians. 39 of them. They've demanded 500 million naira ransom. They are going through this harrowing experience. As you can see, they are beating them, and you can see the situation that some people find themselves in the country, and they are citizens of this country, Emeka.
When I saw this, video, I was so distressed. Nigeria is not at war, but criminals have declared war on Nigeria. And you still have government spokesmen of the presidency saying bandits and will-be terrorists. You know, they are still looking at this thing as something that just maybe some pickpockets or some petty thieves. These people have declared war on the government. They've declared war on Nigeria. Why are we treating them as if we should, Nigeria should, as of right, they should do that to us? We are not helping our nation. we are not helping this country. You see all this talk, oh, the president giving criminals 2 weeks. 2 weeks to do what? To continue kidnapping Nigerians?
They won't listen.
You should tell them with immediate effect.
It took them time.
With immediate effect, you must look at Nigerians being dehumanized.
You were told that that one will be the last.
Look at Nigerians being
less
dehumanized.
Less than 48 hours after the president said to be the last.
What these people are telling the president
these
is
guys
that
are
you can do
asking
your
for 500 million naira for 39
They are telling the president you can do your worst. And do you know what? This thing confirms what people have been talking about, the experience of captives in the hands of kidnappers.
Yes.
No, you don't want
so,
to.
you know, you need to hear the horrendous tales, terrible tales. This only confirms. Now they are bringing out themselves, you know. So are we saying that government lacks
These are the same people that Gumi is telling us that they are not criminals.
These people cannot, they are not ready for
this level of
it's not about negotiation. Yes. They are telling the government to do your worst.
No, it's Nigeria that is being flogged.
They are telling government to do your worst.
It's Nigeria that is metaphorically being flogged.
Because
what bandits are doing is to show us that they are in charge. They are trying to tell us that they are in charge. And the way to show them that they are not in charge is for us to defeat them.
Fatal blow.
You see, we need, as I said before, we may need even a 6 months operation. We have not started doing anything to these people. Bandits who killed 18 soldiers and we did not avenge the killing. Up to now, I've been saying it. They are killing soldiers. Why did Yari negotiate the other day with them? They killed 8 soldiers inside Sadao Forest in Zamfara State. We now felt, let us negotiate with these people. We continue to negotiate with them from a position of weakness. It makes no sense. The more you do it, the more they get strong. You see now, when they kidnap people, as they've done, ultimately we end up paying ransom.
And we empower them.
And when we pay ransom, they will go and buy weapons. It's difficult to say don't pay. You will be thoroughly unfeeling to watch people being dehumanized like this and say don't pay. What you want to see is for them to get out of captivity. Because any of these people could be your relations.
By the time they release this ones tomorrow, Jude,
yes,
another set of bandits in another location.
That is where, you see, that is where government ought to do its job. You succeeded in paying ransom, getting these ones out of captivity. But you must make it impossible for them to continue this trade. How do you make it impossible for them to continue this trade?
Let them pay the ultimate price.
We have armed forces. These guys, their camps are known. I've said it before, I'm not boasting. Even me, I know some of their camps because I've interviewed bandits before. You remember I went to Katsina to interview them.
Yeah.
So no one can tell me that I don't even know where some of their camps are. Because I stood on the road leading to the camp and I was pointing at them as they were driving.
State governors, they know their locations.
As they were going to their camp, I said, these guys went to the market to buy things. They are going back to their camp. I stood on that road and did a piece to camp. So soldiers know where these camps are.
So why the reluctance?
The NSA that is boasting, as if by merely boasting we will solve the problem. They know where the camps are. Our intelligence officers, they know where the camps are. But how consistently do we deal that blow on these persons? Because, look, for me, we have new service chiefs. What is their job? The job of the Chief of Defense Staff is to conduct joint operations by the armed forces. That's his job. He has to map out a plan. I'm saying that the operation that will take out these guys, even if it's Zamfara alone, it's not going to take a few days. It's going to take much longer. Because those forests are vast.
But Nigerians want them to start somewhere.
We must go. That's why I'm saying, see Zamfara. If we want to start from Zamfara, we can start from Zamfara. When we move from Zamfara, we go to Kaduna State. Those places, thankfully, they are not even so far apart. Because the ones in Kaduna now, you can see that they have an axe to grind with El-Rufai, because El-Rufai said they must never give them
money.
And El-Rufai has been attacking his fellow governors who believe in amnesty. So you can see that their attacks on Kaduna have been consistent. Before now, they didn't carry out this kind of raid on Kaduna, but they went there as a way of saying, look, you El-Rufai will teach you a lesson. But evil should not trump good in our country. There has to be a military operation, a solid one, that will involve the armed forces, the Air Force, the surface troops. They should be involved. Use a lot of helicopter platforms, crush these guys.
What about drones?
Show them. Let's not talk about drones, please. Show them, because I'm not sure of the time you saw one last. Show them who is in charge. You understand? This is what we should do. Don't simply say we are giving them ultimatum. We are giving the Zamfara governor was saying that I was giving them 2 months to lay down their arms.
Yeah.
You don't need any ultimatum. Crush them immediately. Don't even wait for them to lay down their arms. When they tell you they are laying down their arms, they'll go back to it. Some of them are swearing with the Quran. A lot of these guys are not good Muslims. So if they swear to you, it amounts to nothing. They'll go back to it.
Mary is calling us from Otta. Thank you for joining us, Mary.
Hello?
Yes, Mary. Go ahead with your contribution.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I'm greeting Osibakun and Babajide and the other man.
Yes, you're on live, Mary.
The solution that we can do in Nigeria is to call foreigners. You know, they're promising every day. But if it is their children, they will not allow it to happen like that. So they should tell Baba Buhari, he's a mother, he's a father. He should do something about it. Babajide, well done. God will protect you. Osibakun, well done, and the other man, God will protect all of you. They should do something. It's not a matter of making mouth all the time. They should call Baba Buhari to call foreigners to come and help us. The children are suffering.
Thank you, Mary. Mary from Otta. Emeka, I don't know, maybe strategy, I don't know, maybe some people are still reaching out to these people for last minute exchange in terms of dialogue and everything. But a lot of people will view it that government have not been decisive enough. Now, when they leave the sets, tomorrow you read the newspaper, you hear that something happened in Niger.
No,
it's
but you
not
know some were kidnapped in Edo. No news has been heard about them. And there's a young lady who was said to be going from Akwa Ibom to Ibadan. She was kidnapped. She and some others were kidnapped on Ijebu-Ode, Ibadan Road. Nothing has been heard about that. You know, I understand that some days ago, the transport company also got a call, you know, that they were demanding some ransom. I said it that a friend of mine was kidnapped sometime in January, you know, in Edo State. These things are just happening. These are even the ones that are being reported. There are kidnappings going on here and there that are not making it to the media. So, like you said, basically, first of all, the political will to take it all out to these bandits. Because we're talking about the governor of Zamfara says there are 30,000 bandits. Now that you have about 10,000 soldiers or so.
6,000.
6,000. Yeah, in Zamfara. That number cannot even match the number of bandits.
Yes.
So what do? You find a way to take them out. You co-opt the local people because local people are angry enough. So you can get the people to buy in. They've just like government has been doing.
Able to gather intelligence.
The civilian JTF, the people are sufficiently angry. The people are ready to join you to storm the forest and the hideouts of these people, smoke them out and make them history. But the political will is the problem. And for you to allow people like Gumi and some of these people whose motives are not clear, coming out to accuse the media, calling journalists all kinds of names, saying that you should not call these people criminals. It's good that Nigerian Army...
People who are flogging fellow Nigerians like this.
Nigerian Army has come out to say what he said, but something must be done today. Something must be done today.
Afolabi is calling us from Otta, Ogun State. Thank you for joining us, Afolabi.
Thank you very much. I greet you
Thank you.
And I greet Babajide and my third person on the table. I want to let you know that the picture that I am seeing, going by an experience as an elderly person, the picture that I am seeing is a kind of a saboteur picture. Those guys, they are trained gun rollers. They are not civilians. Those guys are experienced gun shooters. It's likely that something is wrong with our security network. It could be. I perceive it as an inside operators, saboteurs going on. I think the government needs a very big work to do. The kind of big work they have to do is not only by telling the chief security officers in the state that the government should instruct them to establish a very strong security network at the grassroots, because it is a big problem, and we have to handle it in a very kind of maximum manner from the grassroots. It's a big problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your contribution. So, Jide, what we are saying now is that, it's taking time, and these guys are wreaking havoc, and they are holding the country to ransom. Because I don't know what else to call this. To travel by road now is the most difficult thing now in Nigeria. Especially there's some axes I wouldn't even advise anybody to venture into.
It's dangerous. I said you've written your will. There are places that you can't travel. So even soldiers who felt that they could travel on Brenengwari Road, they paid with their lives.
Soldiers.
Air Force men who felt, well, let's just travel on Funtua Highway. They paid with their lives. So it's dangerous for we ordinary civilians to simply say, okay, we want to travel anytime we feel like traveling. So the country that's why more and more people are traveling by air.
It's not safe.
It's just not safe. The country is not safe anymore. Anyone could say, oh, during Jonathan's time, things were worse than this in their dreams. But we know that we've never had it this bad. And we will always say that because we have a conscience. Your conscience guides your everyday attitude as an individual. We've never been in a situation where to travel is a matter of, shall I? No, it had never been this bad. People can't travel freely. Look at Kaduna, for example. That airport area, that means even travel by road. I mean, by air is dangerous.
To Kaduna is dangerous.
Because that whole area,
yes,
they've shown that they are in control of that whole area. And even witnesses said that they come through the airport runway 23 and runway 05. That means that
unmanned.
That means the entire airport is family in their hands. Unrestrained, they come in through the runway and then go to attack airport staff. And they have been raising this alarm since last year. They actually went to see the governor to say, see, our lives are not safe. Remember when I traveled to Kaduna, I came back to tell the story that, look, the airport area was not safe.
After the 9 o'clock flights.
Anything after the 9 o'clock, all flights terminate from around 9 o'clock.
9 a.m. not p.m.
Nobody, and if you stay in the airport area till 5 o'clock, you're on your own.
Wow, till 5 p.m.
And when we closed the Abuja airport to fix one of the runways, it was this Kaduna that was used as the temporary airport for residents of Abuja. They will come, they will fly to Kaduna, then take a bus will now take them straight to Abuja during that period.
Extremely difficult.
Now look at what they have turned down Kaduna airport to. You can't go there freely.
Even the Abuja
and we have military bases located even within in the airport area. We have the Air Force base not far from there. We have the NDA not far from. In fact, the NDA wall extends to that school. Yet we are unable to deal with these guys. As long as these guys look at themselves and tell themselves that, look, this is just empty gas from the National Security Advisor, they will continue to be emboldened to take on the state.
I think one div is even in Kaduna.
Yes, now it's in Kawo now. It's in Kawo now. It's a trekking distance to where these things happen. You can trek it. It's not far.
F-1
So if we have our prime military base not far away from where it happened, we can't crush these guys. The whole of the armed forces, I'm saying there is no alternative to conducting a big operation against these guys. Operation involving all,
yes, especially
the Air Force, everyone. Let the police come with their own air assets. Let the Air Force be involved. But you see, for many years, we refuse to sufficiently equip our armed forces. We are paying for it now.
Yes.
Because we are stretched. We are stretched. If you go to Jamena, the airport, the ground attack helicopters in that airport alone, they are about 30.
The J here.
Yes. Chad. Khartoum. I wanted to say Khartoum. Sudan.
Oh, Sudan.
Yes. The
war-ravaged Sudan.
Yes, but you see, countries that are constantly at war, they are the best equipped.
Yes.
Even a country like Eritrea, they have weapons that you don't have as a country. Ethiopia has weapons that you don't have. So countries that have a history of fighting war, or you want to compare the weapons that we have with those of Egypt, you won't even try it.
Or Algeria.
Or Algeria. So because they are battle tested and routinely they are equipping their army. For us, we had leaders who said, no, you don't need a large army in peacetime. And we did not equip our army. We were even dismantling our air force. So where are we today?
Caught off guard.
Ordinary problems within the Nigerian state. Yes. We are finding it difficult to deal decisively with those issues. Because even the issue of equipment is a big problem. Soldiers will not come out to openly tell you that we lack equipment, we lack this.
Well, we see it.
But the reality is there. The reality is there. And without the right equipment, you cannot win the war. So we are stretched both in terms of personnel and even equipment.
We keep budgeting for defense year in, year out. The last one, we talked about $1 billion, and right now, I don't know.
You see,
with the investments we've made on that sector, we are meant to, be able to combat any of this.
Yeah, you see, the
bandits.
Investment should be on a rolling basis, because the kind of conflicts you have in the world today, are conflicts that are not clearly defined. It's not about one country going to fight another country, but more of stateless entities, carving out their own territories, So you talk about ungoverned spaces, You just have some people who have access to money and weapons. They take over what you call ungoverned territories. Then you have parts of the Sahara. You have a lot of criminals, just rolling around in those places. Freelance fighters.
Mercenaries.
Now, you've spent money now on, procuring Tucano jets 12 to fight Boko Haram. But you now have, the Tucano jets have not come in, but you now have a different kind of warfare, which is not clearly defined. So what are you going to do? It means that you must also invest money in strategy. It's not just about weapons. You must invest in strategy. You must make your strategy to meet the particular challenges. And then you must remove politics from it. You must remove politics from it. The issue of, what name to call them. Also. You can't tell me that people will pick Nigerians and be flogging them, and then you're still thinking whether to call them whatever or whatever. the question is this: once there is the state, on the going by the constitution, the state ought to have a monopoly of violence. But the unfortunate thing today is that you have some people, non-state actors, who are competing with the state for that power. So what do you have? You now see, okay, that people resort to self-help. You have vigilantes all over the place, all over the country. There are different types of vigilantes. You have vigilantes armed, engaging in self-help, because the people, the breach of trust is there. The people no longer trust the government. They don't trust the security agencies. They even believe that some security agents collude with these criminals. What do you now have?
Well,
you have
don't you see the picture of that soldier in Zamfara State?
Yes,
the wife that was selling weapons and, the uniform to
and you know the problem we are creating. There's even a bigger problem ahead. When you crush these bandits now, let's say we successfully crush these bandits in the next 6 months, you already have so many. The president is talking of AK-47. You have weapons widely dispersed in the hands of all kinds of people engaging in self-help. What are you going to now do with those weapons when those people don't have this kind of criminals to fight? What are they going to do? They will now move to a different level of tough war. They will now be fighting for territories. How are you going to handle such? How are you going to disarm all these people? And this thing is everywhere. The other day, they were talking about some people, farmers kidnapped in Ikorodu. Here, you're talking of Ijebu, you're talking of Ibadan, you're talking of... It's just all over the place. So, government must change its strategy. And then, the president said something interesting. He said the security coordination at the grassroots level should be, reactivated, should be revived. Is that interesting that the president pointed at that? But you have different organizations like police community relations committees. What are they doing? You have local government chairmen. Who do they have security committees in these local governments? The local governments, a portion of their allocation is supposed to be given to DPOs in their areas. Are they doing that? So there are a lot of things the president needs to make some investment in strategy. And strategy should involve the people. It should involve the local people.
All right, we'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll discuss more. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's Journalist Hangout on Sunday. And rounding off on this Babajide solution, we just have to do something about these criminals. And if we don't do something on time, these guys might start carving territories for themselves.
No, they have territories already. It's not a question of start carving territories.
Carving more territories.
They have territories already. There are some local governments, family in their hands. You go to you go to Niger, for example. They are very, very active in 5 local governments. 3 of those local governments, you can safely say they are in charge.
All this damn
Rafi, Munya, Shiroro.
Okay.
All of those local governments, they are in charge.
You're taking over the place.
So you can't move around freely. Almost every day they are kidnapping people. We know they are kidnapping people, yet almost every day it happens. No one is restraining them. They are even trying now to expand to other places where they were not. The other day they killed the forest guards inside the Kanji Lake National Park.
The thriving business now.
So
very lucrative.
Look at the weapons.
What you get for money?
Anytime it's just there's no the solution. The short solution is military action. Crush them militarily. No 2 ways about it. Just have to crush them militarily. There's no solution. If you negotiate with them, you are wasting your time.
Emeka.
Yeah, of course. Like you said, it has to, military. But you see, it's not even a conventional war. So that's what I talked about. Government must invest in strategy. There must be a kind of a roundabout way to, loop them in, and cross them from different angles. It should not just be as if you're taking on a conventional enemy. No. Government should find a way to, first of all, destabilize them.
And negotiate.
Destabilize them, scatter them. Get those of them that you can get that are compliant.
Their own heads.
Use some of those who are in detention against them. I mean, these things have been done, and we've seen how, developed countries have done these things. Yes.
All right. Moving on now. The Rivers State chapter of the All Progressive Congress, APC, appears not to be learning from history, and it may be tempted to repeat past misdeeds. A chieftain of the party, Senator Magnus Abbey, said the internal crisis rocking APC in the states is not yet over, despite the Supreme Court judgments. Jude, what do we have this situation, the Zamfara situation, again in River State? And River State seems to be very, very, I don't know, the stakeholders, they seem to be hardliners. They don't back down. There's no spirit that, oh, this is not for the greater good of the party, that whatever happens, we can just bring the roof down. They don't mind. Magnus Abbey, one faction, Rotimi Amechi, Minister of Transport, another faction. So it's the last election, they weren't even able to produce any candidates.
Yes, and in fairness to Magnus Abbey, what he wants is what he and his party and his supporters. I won't say that it's a faction, really, in the real sense of the word. What he wants is just fairness, respect for the rights of his supporters, and then justice. If the APC in Rivers State can guarantee all of these three items, I'm sure that there will be peace in Rivers APC. The truth is, Magnus Abbey has no plan to leave the APC. He has no plan. He wants to remain there. And if you cannot get your political opponent within your party to leave the party for you, it means that you people have to come together and reach some form of
work together
agreement, because Abbey is a politically skilled person. In my view, more politically skilled than Amechi. Someone else will have left this party since. Because, of course, even Wike will be happy to welcome him.
Yeah.
He is very strong in the Ogoni area. And the truth is, there is no way by which the APC currently in Rivers State can successfully dislodge all the supporters, in that area. Even if you try to exclude them, somehow, some of the people who contest elective positions, you'll be able to link them one way or the other to Magnus Abbey. He's been winning elections since 1999 from that area when he was in the ANPP. So he's not a small fry in politics. Himself and Amechi met in the State Assembly when he was minority leader and Amechi was speaker. Invariably, during during Odi, and they were working together. During Odili's second term, he became commissioner for information. It is said that Amechi was the one who suggested to Odili that he should make him. Nobody was there, but that was what we had. Then, when Amechi was in exile and he had this problem, he was said to be the go between him and Odili, trying to settle their differences. And ultimately, Amechi felt that this person was loyal enough to him, and he made him SSG. And later on, he got into the Senate. Yes, yes, during Amechi's second term. So that's basically his trajectory. Now, going back to what happened the first time, according to Abbey, his supporters were the ones who bought forms. They bought forms. Both of them preferred different means of conducting primaries. While Magnus Abbey preferred the direct primaries, Amechi preferred indirect. The indirect allows for all kinds of manipulations and all that. So at the end of the day, despite the fact that they bought forms, they were excluded from the entire process, the congresses, and some of them were even tear gassed. They got angry, they went to court. The matter got as far as the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ruled at that time that only those who bought forms, because the Magnus Abbey people presented in trying to win the argument before the court that they were unlawfully excluded from participating in the congresses, they presented the forms. I mean, they presented the receipts showing that they bought forms and all that to partake in the process, but they were denied. Amechi seemed to have made up his mind that Abe and his people will have no place in the APC in Rivers State, but they went to court. Court gave them judgment that only those who bought forms should contest in the Congress of the party. The Supreme Court nullified the congresses conducted by Amechi's group, which led to the emergence of Tonye Cole. Remember? So, Supreme Court ordered that there should be a fresh Congress organized by the party, and that only those who bought forms. You know, if the party had agreed to that, it meant that only Magnus Abbey's people will have been eligible to take part in the Congress, because they were the ones who bought forms.
They keep going to court.
They were the ones who bought forms. The other group were not, people were handpicked and all that by Amechi. In the end, the party did not comply with that directive. Did not comply with that directive at that time. And they ended up without having any, the party lost totally. Now, with the same party coming up with a new re-registration exercise, Abe's people went back to court to say there is a subsisting order of the Supreme Court that they were the ones who bought forms, and that Congress that the Supreme Court ordered at that time has still not been organized, and that because it has not been organized, that it must be organized before this exercise can happen. They got victory in the lower court, in Port Harcourt, the Port Harcourt High Court. But the appeal court ruled against Abe. I'm giving the basis for how we found ourselves here now. The appeal court ruled against Abe that order of the Supreme Court had lapsed with the last dispensation. Abe's group went to the Supreme Court to say, look, you gave an order in 2019 that the party should organize fresh Congress, and that the Congress should be, and that the people who bought forms should be the ones to take part. That has not happened. Now they want to do a fresh registration. We want you to give an order that they should first do that one. But the Supreme Court refused to uphold its earlier decision. The Supreme Court ruled that this is purely a party affair, that the party can go ahead even with the idea of appointing someone in caretaker capacity and then take part in the Congress. Now, they are back to square one. What is left for them is to go and register, having lost, they've lost on two fronts now. What is left for the Abe's group is to go and register
integrate back into the system.
Yes. Now, you know why he's saying that he does not think that the Supreme Court has not solved a problem? Because he is arguing that their whole argument is not that they didn't have issue with structure of party, but issue of injustice, not allowing people to take part in congresses and all that. If you can be sure, you and I know that if going by the trajectory or idiosyncrasies of both men, if the same thing that happened the last time happens, whereby you stop their men from taking part in congresses, they will end up in court again.
Yes.
Because Abe has made up his mind that he will not allow Amechi to push him out of the party. It is clear that he does not want to go. So he will, and as long as he remains in that party, he will continue to agitate. If you treat his members unfairly, they will go to court. So it's better the party leaders sit both men together and say, see, what we lost the last time, we should not allow it to happen again. There is an opportunity for us to start. We have a new beginning. Okay, let us do the registration. Then the congresses of the party at world level and other levels must be transparent. Anybody who wants to contest should be allowed to contest. That is the issue that remains unresolved. Will what happened the last time happen? No one is sure yet.
Emeka?
Will power sharing happen? Because I'm convinced that if some form of power sharing,
to sit down with Abi for power sharing, since they've gone to the Supreme Court, the Yoruba people will say,
no, but it does not own the party. You don't. The truth, it does not own the party.
That's the way these people behave.
No, but if he does that again, they will end up in court. Why did Yari and Marafa, why did they come together the other day? Because they are now behaving like sensible people. Your party lost. The PDP will always be waiting and watching. So if they are lawful party members, if you kick them out or you don't allow them to partake, they will go to court again. It's as simple as that.
APC River States is as if they are on the kind of path of self-destruction.
Yes.
Because it's not looking as if it's not looking good in spite of the Supreme Court judgment. Yeah. This is not the last we're going to hear of that crisis.
It's unfortunate.
It has always been like that.
It's unfortunate that the APC in some states is not even conscious of the strength of its opponents. You know, somewhere like Rivers, where you have a strong politician as governor.
No nonsense person.
You saw a case. You saw the case in Bayelsa, where Diri looked like, just someone who just wanted a space in the sun. Well, look at what happened. He became governor. So, and don't forget, there are other parties. Apart from PDP, there are other fringe parties through which disgruntled elements in the APC can actually score big blows against the party. So all it needs to do is, if you don't conduct your congresses properly, or you make certain mistakes, they will go to court.
Exactly.
So it's not just about, it's a party
They will not leave the party, they will go to court.
Yeah, because they will have their people. And of course, it has been rightly said that it will be difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it will be difficult for them to reconcile. Because if you going by the statements, press statements issued by some of their followers, you will see that they are not bent on reconciliation. In fact, there's even talk of some of them moving to PDP. They are still studying the situation. So what it means is that...
I think it was in the statement by
look at it.
Abe's group that they have options, this and that.
Of course.
But of course, you also say that sometimes to try to extract some...
Yeah, but you have these foot soldiers in some other parties. You have his foot soldiers. He will have his foot soldiers in PDP. Abe is not a politician who is just learning how to play politics, And of course, he doesn't see Amechi as his senior, as his leader. So when you have such a situation, when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. But what happens? The other elephant will just come in when they've exhausted or finished themselves politically. The other elephant will just come in. So the situation in Rivers.
Amechi is the other elephant. Wike is the other elephant. Right? No,
Amechi versus Magnus Abe. But so Wike is the other elephant just sitting by and enjoying the spectacle. Don't forget also, if you look at it, Amechi is said to be nursing higher ambitions.
Yes. And if his house is not settled.
Magnus Abe is said to be nursing ambition to be governor. So now, what is going to happen? If both men cancel themselves out,
and they will need their own.
If they cancel each other out, PDP will still have the day. It looked very childish. I mean, after you had made your party not to get due to your infighting, your party couldn't produce a candidate. You were now trying to go through the AAC candidate. Come on. Why not drop your egos? Come together. For the good of the
that's the big problem. What I wanted to ask, Jide, why is it difficult for the Minister of Transport to back down? must you win all battles? Because
No,
as a leader,
he thinks that the party leadership will always support him. You know, and that whoever the party leader backs has the structures and all that. I think he's looking at, okay, I'm a big player in the center. Therefore, I have that power, I have the opportunity. But against a politician who is skilled and cerebral like Abe, and knowing Wike that is also
a performer,
is someone that you cannot underrate and is very determined, you are in a disadvantageous position.
Honestly.
You cannot, because at the end of the day, it's your party that will keep losing.
I don't think that minister can even win his local government.
No, as long as under the current dispensation with Wike as with Wike as governor, they are not going to allow him to win. I've seen even on election day, you saw how some women came out and they were calling him traitor on election day in his local government. So these things happen, but the truth is, as Mecca said, Wike will just be lurking in the shadows.
No, Wike has even already won a major battle. You
just waiting to see. You know, because of Rotimi's treatment of the judiciary when he was governor, when he locked up the courts for 2 years, most of the time, I'm not saying that cases are not determined by their merit. Most of the time, he doesn't get justice in that in Port Harcourt. I mean, River State. Most of the time, you know. So you are already in some form of a disadvantage. You know, because you have a wicked here who is also bent on ensuring that you do not win an election, you do not amount to nothing within your state, and your own brother that you are supposed to just bring closer. You've always been friends. You've been friends since your House of Assembly days. Why can't you just come together?
And to make matters worse, look at now, Wike has backed down, and Secondus is allowed to continue. So the crisis that people feared would break out in PDP has been moved to
Let's wait till later in the year.
Until the convention.
Yes, and then look at it, the APC, don't forget,
politicians are not like that.
The APC is being run by a caretaker national executive. By the time they get to the time to organize elections, and a new executive emerges, if the new executive is not in tandem with Amechi, it will be back to square one. So he needs to weigh his option very clearly.
Well, you see, is the leader of the party, and as I always say,
is he higher than the DSP?
As I always say, the leader needs to always stoop to conquer. In this case, Amechi must not let what happened the last time to happen. I am for some form of power sharing, although it will appear now that having lost that matter in the Supreme Court, that in the matter of power sharing, that Magnus is in a weakened position. You know, if you were asking for 55-45 before in the power sharing this thing,
45 again.
You having lost at the Supreme Court and with the advantage family with Amechi, you are going to lose in terms of the percentage of what's considered to, because I know party leaders are trying some form of power sharing. Maybe in the end they will say, okay, Magnus, take 40%, Amechi takes 60%. Or Amechi may argue that, no, I want 70%, let him take 30%. Party leaders, that is what Bune and the rest of them, that's what they should be able to do. They should be able to bring these men together and avoid what happened in 2019. If they can't do that, because I said to someone, I said, Supreme Court cannot solve all your problems for you. You still have to sit down together.
Yes.
Supreme Court will only deal with issues on the point of law. You still have to sit together. You were not originally enemies. So you should be able to come together and say, oh, Magnus, come here, we have to solve this problem. What's your problem? You know, you solve it. Jocularly, you can solve this problem, but ego and greed for power is the reason politicians always want to ensure that they just grab everything like a goalkeeper. And at the end of the day, what do you have? Your party loses.
Oh, finally, just before we go, let's take you to Akpomu in Ishokon local government area of Osun State, where the Queen and one of our own, that's Olori Janet Afolabi, unveiled a youth development academy for the town. According to her, the academy went back on a massive skill acquisition training programs for about 300 youths in the community. Babajide, one of our own, is doing very well. Yes, because you can be a good journalist and also a very good administrator and a visionary.
Yes, wherever you find yourself, you have to make a difference.
That's our Olori.
You have to make your presence felt. But you see, the greater credit goes to the husband.
Yes.
When you put a young person in this kind of position, that young person wants to make an impact.
Yes.
Do things the modern way and draw positive attention to the community. Because this is an ancient town that we always heard about, even when we were young kids. But now he's doing, even during the COVID-19, he went out distributing food and all that in a manner that the people had never seen before. So they are seeing in this young king, they are seeing in him things that they never thought could happen. And Janet will not simply sit in that place.
No.
She also wants her presence felt.
Yes.
She wants to support the husband.
Different programs.
Every other time. In different ways. So that people will know that, yes, during the reign of Oba Afolabi, these are the things that we were able to achieve. And that's exactly what she's doing. If you can train people, because jobs are really not there, but if people must be taught skills. Once you acquire those skills, your life is in your hands.
300, yes.
Your life is in your hands.
What do you want to get the jobs now?
You'll be able to make ends meet with what you've been taught. So it's a good thing that we are seeing this.
Commendable. Commendable, you know. At least it shows that we can't just be talking all about government.
Yeah.
That
the traditional institutions.
The traditional institution. You know that there are a lot of things to be gained from traditional institutions, because Nigerians have generally lost faith in traditional institutions. You know, but now she is bringing traditional institution in Akpomu, you know, to the global stage. You know, to limelight. And you see a lot of work she's doing on social media. You know, I mean, she's a journalist, experienced journalist, and definitely she knows what it takes to keep the town positively, you know, regularly in the positive spotlight. So I wish her all the best. You know, definitely, like Jide said, the husband is to be, the traditional law of the town is to be. You know, we need to congratulate him. Yes, for keying into this vision. Keying into this vision, because it's not a general, you know, there are some prominent men like that who not really want it to look like they and their wives are competing for the spotlight. But you see, in allowing his wife to bring up to bring out such a laudable program.
He's given her a role.
He has given her a role, and he has also projected the town. The town, the ancient town. You know, and of course there are people talking about Mother's Day today. So as a mother of the town, it is even very apt that we're discussing it on such a day. So it's
for one of our own. That's Janet Olori Afolabi.
We miss her, but we are happy that
she has
some
stepped up.
We miss her, but other people are enjoying her. And
yes,
she's making an impact where she is.
That's the most important thing.
That's the most important thing. We are happy to see her make the kind of progress it's making. Every time we read
Affecting
about
more
that,
lives.
it is for positive things. And
And before now, I didn't get to hear of Akpomo like that. Yes, Akpomo is
that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. That
yeah.
the new king has thrust Akpomo to national limelight and national prominence.
Shokon local government,
And that's the way to continue to be. We just need to advise both of them to stay focused and let the king do his best to also attract investment to the town. People can come and set up industries in that place, you know, so that the young people can be gainfully employed, and they will remember that during his time, that such big companies were attracted to Akpomo, and before you know it, the town will become even more famous than it is currently.
Emeka Madunago, thank you.
Thank you very much.
For your contribution
Thank you,
in the last 120 minutes.
Yes, thank you very much.
Actually, we told people about this Sunday edition that you will get value for your time, 2 hours, and then we've been here since 1:30, and that's our offering. Thank you, BKO, for always being there.
Thank you so
and
much.
for the stories you went out to do and the interviews.
Thank you very much.
You
There's
conducted.
more in the bag.
More in the back.
insights,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. And that's our offering now. Join us tomorrow for the regular episode of the program at 5 p.m. You can watch the broadcast tonight at 11:30. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Bye for now, and please stay safe.